Hello and welcome to another episode of It Came From the Page. And today I'm doing my TBR for May, and there's a lot of stuff going on in May. So I am participating in Escape the Read-A-Thon. Go Team Ghost Tour. I will link all of my co-hosts who I'm with down below. They're all awesome and fun. If you don't know what Escape the Read-A-Thon is, Escape the Read-A-Thon is made by Lexi, from Books with Lexi, and there's like 4 different teams, and we are you're trying to escape a haunted house. So each team is given prompts to complete in order to open one of 2 doors. One is locked and will lead to, and the other will lead to the exit. So that is just going to be fun. We don't know what we're doing beforehand, so it's kind of like an anti-TBR thing. But I did a few, Lexi gave us a few examples to give and record for other people. So I kind of get an idea of the kind of prompts we're going to be getting, and they're going to be extremely open-ended. So if you're a person who, is worried about that, I would say just make your TBR. You can probably fit in most things. On top of that, Kat from Kat's Novel Adventures is also doing the Zombie Read-A-Thon. And then there is Horror Mayhem happening as well, which is focused on reading shorter horror fiction. What is super nice is that all of the things I'm going to show you, they pretty much fit for all of them. So, zombies are a bit more, got to be more specific on the zombie front. But there is a way to incorporate all of those super easily. I was not a person who thought I enjoyed book clubs, but I've recently kind of fell in love with book clubs and chatting with people online. So I want to shout out 2 book clubs that I will definitely be doing this month. First up is the Dark Hearts Book Club, which is run by Amy Noel Reeds, and she is one of my co-hosts for Escape the Read-A-Thon, so go Team Ghost Tour. And I really liked the book that she had on her book club last month, which was Head Like a Hole, and I was it was one of my favorite reads of the month. So I'm really kind of just going all in on that book club and being excited for whatever they pick. So the next one they're doing is a book called This. I don't want to mispronounce the name, so I'm just going to This. So I'm very excited for that. And then Kelly from Kelly Hooked on Books also runs the From Hell Bookclub, and I also participated in that for the first time last month, which was to read Hellhound. And this month they're reading The Cipher, which is a book that I've wanted to read forever. So those are 2 book clubs I'm participating in. Kelsey from Slime and Slashers, she normally has a book club as well, but she's taken the month off from book clubs because, there's a lot of read-a-thons, there's a lot of other stuff going on, which, makes sense. So those are 2 book clubs I'll be participating in this month, because I've just learned I kind of love them. So those will be very fun. And then here is what I'm going to be reading for May. First up, zombie book. This is The Walking Dead, The Rise of the Governor. I kind of got bored with The Walking Dead after they got about 100 issues in. Those first 100 issues pretty good. Also kind of got bored with the TV show after season about 4. This is something I found in a little free library, and I was oh, well, hey, might as well. I would be interested to see what it would be like to read a Walking Dead story in the written form. This is about the governor, who is how he came to be who he is, and that is a character who in the books is dark as hell. So I'd be interested to read that. And then I went to my local library and I got a whole bunch of shorties, because I figured if I'm doing something where you don't really know your TBRs, I wanted to get a whole bunch of shorties that I could fit in there. The only really big requirement for Escape the Read-A-Thon is that the book has to be over 50 pages for it to count. So these are all little novellas, but they all exceed 50 pages. So first off is Hammers on the Bones by Cassandra Kah. And I read Nothing But Blacking Teeth last year. I kind of really enjoyed that book. I know not a lot of people do. It's been kind of controversial. So either people love it or hate it, but I quite enjoyed it. Final Girls by Mira Grant. I've only read Mira Grant's Alien stuff, and I really liked it, so I need to kind of branch out and read some of her, non-movie tie-in books. And then I've never read an Eric LaRocca book, so I got this one as well, which is We Can Never Leave This Place. So those are the small little things I got from the library. Now, the rest on this list, I have salvaged stuff that I didn't get to in Old School April that are also shorties. So all these like Goosebumps books that I haven't read. I did not get to them this month. So in May I'll read them. And then another book I didn't get to but I loved back in the day and I really do want to reread is Godzilla vs. the Space Monster. Should be no surprise there. And then the rest of the books are either stuff that I would fit into the zombies or are things that are haunted house books. There are a bunch of haunted house books that I've been meaning to read forever, and this seems like the best time to do that. So first up, Hell House by Richard Matheson. Some people said this book sucks. Other people say it's a classic. I've been kind of hit and miss with classics lately, but we will see. It does at least sound interesting, and, I have read a few other Richard Matheson books that I really enjoyed. Then some short story collections. I have quite a bit of those because, again, I love to read short stories. I haven't been reading many short stories lately, so I thought I would kind of grab a lot of the short story collections that I have. And also, it really fits in well with Horror Mayhem, which is focusing on reading shorter horror fiction. So, The Screaming Skull and other great American ghost stories. So I like that these are focused on more classic stories. I just love this cover. This is a good old-fashioned ghost tale, Phantom by Thomas Tessier. I have heard about other Thomas Tessier books. I have always loved this cover. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone who has read this one, so I am very interested to do that. Another haunted house book that I've been meaning to get to for literal years. Then this is an original copy. This is not the Valancourt Books reprint. This is an old school copy of When Darkness Loves Us by Elizabeth Engstrom, all embossed. I love the embossing. It is so cool. I really liked Black Ambrosia when I read that. I believe it was either 1 or 2 years ago. So I've been really meaning to get to other Elizabeth Engstrom books. I know Katrina from Katrina Brown. I believe she liked one, but not as much the other. So this is a collection of 2 novellas. So I'm really interested to see how those are. Then I have a Ruby Jean Jensen book. I've never read any Ruby Jean Jensen books. I've never even heard people talk about this one. And this is Child of Satan House. Which, I love the cover. It's another little haunted house story, so I'm like, heck yes, I'll read that one. I mean, it might not be a haunted house. It might just be Satan's house, but, I'm sure Satan knows how to party. That's why Loomis was meowing. I accidentally locked him in a door. Whoopsie-daisies. Sorry, Loomis. When I got something out of my closet, he went in there. Next up, I got 2 novelizations because, it's me. You gotta get some novelizations in there. This is The Fog by Dennis Etchison. I love John Carpenter's The Fog. It's one of my favorite ghost stories. I just think it's, beautifully filmed and has some amazing special effects. So I'm really kind of excited to read this book. This is a relatively hard to find novelization, so I am thrilled to have found this, and I'm thrilled to get a chance to read this. And then a more conventional ghost story, which is Poltergeist, which is written by James Caan. So I'm really excited to read this. I like the movie Poltergeist. It's never been one of my favorite 80s horror movies, but I've always thought it was good. So I'm interested to see if the novelization either points me towards more liking it more, or it makes me like it a little less, or if I think that the novelization is better. I don't know. And again, I don't think Poltergeist is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not been one of my particular favorites. so to speak. Next up, another ghost story. I don't know much about this. This is another one with a Valancourt re-release, but this is an original old school paperback version, and this is Familiar Spirit by Lisa Tuttle. I've been meaning to read a Lisa Tuttle book ever since. So there was this thing in the 1980, I think it was early 90s. There's a thing called Nightmare Cafe that got all these horror writers together to like get together and write the ultimate horror story. And there was all these guests, like Clive Barker was there, Peter Atkin was there, Ramsey Campbell was there, John Carpenter was there as well. And it's this dinner between all of them, and Lisa Tuttle is there as well. And Lisa Tuttle is like the only female in the bunch. Ow! What are you doing? What are you doing? Is it... Ow, this hurts. Okay, whatevs. Anyways, and Lisa Tuttle was amazing on that little Nightmare Cafe, so I really wanted to read a Lisa Tuttle book ever since seeing that. I will link that entire thing, that Nightmare Cafe, in the description, because it is extremely fun. And it is wild because you have like Clive Barker who just like sitting there like drinking fancy wines. Oh, that hurts this arm, dude. What are you doing? What? Oh, are you still there? Okay. And then you have like John Carpenter who's just like smoking cigarettes and like drinking old school beer. It's very fun, and it's very much like, oh yeah, that's very John Carpenter. I love that. So I'm really excited to read that. This is a zombie book. I'm not sure about these. So I think these are kind of like supposed to be kind of like, romantic, sexy books, because it says, supernatural bad guys beware. Night prowling Anita Blake is savvy, sexy, and tough. So this is a series of books by Laurel K. Hamilton. And I think they're supposed to be a little bit more saucy than you'd be expecting. But this one is about zombies, clearly. So I'm excited to read The Laughing Corpse. See if maybe this is a cool series that I might want to read more of. I don't know much about this one, but it looked cool. It had zombies. And of course, I wanted to get some good old zombies in for Cat's Read-A-Thon. Next up, we have Shadows 3. So I have read the first two Shadows books, and I have absolutely loved them. They are some of my favorite short story collections that I've ever read. If you don't know what these are old school. They started late 70s, and it was Charles L. Grant getting together the best of horror writers at the time to kind of submit stories. And there were tons of amazing writers who have contributed. Some of Stephen King's greatest short stories are actually premiered in Shadows volumes, and this one looks particularly fun because we have people like R. Chetwynd Hayes, who wrote The Monster Club. You have Chelsea Quinn Yarborough, which I have a whole bunch of her books, but I haven't actually got around to any of them, so I'm really excited to do that. Julian Brantingham, who I don't even know who that is, and that's one of the best parts about Shadows volumes is they bring together cool writers from the past that you've not heard of, no one ever really talks about anymore, and some of them have the best stories of the collection. Shadows 2 was absolutely outstanding, so I'm really excited for Shadows 3. And again, short stories, good for everything. I have been missing short fiction in my life recently, so I'm glad to kind of get back into it for May. Next up is Dead North, which is an anthology of Canadian zombie fiction. So I don't recognize any of the writers in this. This was actually a gift from a friend, which it's very funny. I opened this up and I still had the card that she put in there, because there was a magazine called Grimm, and there was a Grimm meetup in Toronto a few years back, and I went to that and hung out with them and all my friends, and she gifted me this lovely book, and I just have not got a chance to read this. Always like to get a chance to read Canadian fiction as well, just to see how it kind of stacks up. And of course, this is plenty of zombie content, and also just a cool ass cover. That is like really cool. I love that cover. And last, but certainly not least, I have 2 more short story collections. And these are Books of Blood Volume 5 and Books of Blood Volume 6. So it's very strange, because I have read Books of Blood Volumes 1 and 4. So I'm excited to read 5 and 6. Clive Barker is always like the master of the short story, especially back in the day with these things. So I'm really, really excited to get back into more wild Clive Barker in his early days stuff. So those are all the things that I have on my to-do list, to watch list, to read list. What are you guys reading, watching, dancing with in the month of May? Let me know. Are you participating in any of the events I mentioned? I would recommend it. They all seem fun. And honestly, they all seem like things that you would probably be able to just read what you normally read and then participate in the event as well, because they are relatively open-ended and they're not built to kind of like streamline you towards one specific thing or genre, because especially with Escape the Read-A-Thon, you don't even have to read horror, you can read whatever. So have you read any of the books that I have in here? Are they good? Are they bad? Let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please remember, dislike, unsubscribe, and have a good day. Goodbye.